We know that if you are out there in Atlanta, as the majority of our audience may be, you are probably watching the very late start of Gucci and Jeezy's versus battle. And literally, I think they finally came out at 8:50. But this is something that we hope that you're watching after the fact. So whether you're catching this in the replay that I'm going to do on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or if you are catching this anytime next week as you are enjoying your holiday week and catching up on things, we are super excited to welcome you to the 3+1 Livecast, where we have my beautiful co-hostess, the one and the only Tracey Bonner. How are you, Tracey? She is back from shooting in New Mexico.
Yes. What's up, everybody?
She is now with us back in her beautiful new home, in her beautiful new recording space. And so, Tracey, we see a lot of movie memorabilia in the background. What is your favorite piece? What is your favorite film?
Oh, my favorite, all-time favorite would be The Color Purple.
Of all time, can be beat.
My favorite.
All-time favorite, but I have like others in different genres. Like The Wiz is one, Goonies is another like childhood favorite, and then I have like The Women of Brewster Place and A Soldier Story because they're ensemble cast. Like I have different categories that are favorites. Yeah.
Well, we are really lucky tonight to be joined by really political expert, human rights advocate, former leader of the Nevada House, the one and only Kelvin Atkinson. Kelvin, welcome to 3+1, the Livecast. How are you, my brother?
I'm going good. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
We got so much to talk about. We're so thankful that you could make time to join us because we've been in an ongoing series really trying to talk about these issues, the politics, and all that's happening. Kelvin, what is your favorite film?
You know, it's so funny that just yesterday somebody had posted something and said, name a movie that you could recite from beginning to end. And it was funny. It was Color Purple for me. So it was, definitely. It's one of those I gotta watch a couple times a year. I'm a huge Brewster Place, a few of the other. I'm still a big fan of Precious, but I love Color Purple. And the movie that I watch all the time to make me laugh is Life with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy. Two of my favorites. Yeah.
Precious was a really good film. Like I feel like I cried. After the first 30 minutes, I cried the entire film. And that's one film you can only watch like once. Like, what I just experienced. And also, but the book was called something else, though.
It was called something else, but you certainly can't watch it. You can't watch it if you're in a bad mood. So or a sad mood or depressed, you've got to watch it, like you said, once, and it's got to be.
The name of the book is Push by Sapphire. Push by Sapphire. Yes,
that's right. That's right.
That is, I am forever an English major. So, I not only was an English major, but, when you're an English major, you are an English major for life because you're constantly reading and constantly studying and constantly applying that way of thinking, not only in books, but also in film and TV shows and in politics, which, of course, is a big focus for all of our viewers out there who are not watching Jeezy versus Gucci. Please also chime in the chat. Let us know what is your favorite film because it's out there. And I will share mine. You probably don't know it. There's actually quite a few films that I love. And so if you haven't seen Requiem for a Dream, starring Ellen Burstyn and Jared Leto, and it was the first serious turn by Marlon Wayans. It was a phenomenal film. I really enjoyed it. I found the film to be absolutely drawing, the imagery, the cinematography. I love imagery in a good film. So that would be one of my favorite, as well as The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, starring Jim Carrey. Another one of my favorite films. But of course, as everyone, The Color Purple ranks high as well. I will say that The Color Purple was for a long time the number one film until I saw the play on Broadway. I was fortunate to see both reiterations. I saw the first run when Fantasia played the role of Celie, and then I saw the second when they redid it 10 years later when Jennifer Hudson was a part of the cast. And I have to say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the best thing I've ever seen Fantasia do in this world was her Celie. I feel like she was underrated. I feel like the praise that she deserved. But that was just an amazing play and an amazing turn. It's been a big day, you guys, for what's happening in the world, in that we finally have the results for Georgia. Finally.
We think.
It's a done deal. It's now been this is the 5th time that President-elect Joe Biden has been declared the winner of Georgia. For the 5th time, this man has been named the winner of Georgia. The results are certified. 306 electoral votes have now gone to President-elect Joe Biden. Now, it's very likely that President Trump is going to challenge these with another recount, but it won't be a hand recount, and it should not in any way delay the certification of these results by our state deadline of Friday, regardless of what he does. But this is the question that I really want to bring out to the table and kind of want to throw out first to you, Kelvin, and also Tracey chime in. Does President Donald J. Trump, lame duck that he is, have any viable chance to remain president of these United States past January the 20th?
Well, since somebody's eating chips, I guess I'll go ahead and answer that. But I mean, absolutely not. All of this is just public theater. It's his background. It's social. I mean, it's just television. It's theater. I think Trump knows he has no chance in winning. I heard something today that he was doing all of this because the Democrats, when he first was elected, did everything they could to delegitimize him being president, and saying that he really wasn't a president, and Russia and everybody helped him. And so I'm hearing scuttle that he's doing all this to kind of just delegitimize Biden and the campaign, and he'll be able to walk away and say, look, he lost, but he got cheated. So it's really awful what he's doing to the country, though. It really, really is.
I mean, doesn't this open us up to like foreign trouble? I don't know the words. My vocabulary is going to be off tonight because I've been I've had a couple of drinks, Senator. So
I thought that was apple juice, but okay.
But you need to have a few drinks, Tracey. You have earned it. It's been a hard week. You just finished a hard shoot. You have been working hard. You enjoy your drink.
Thank you.
Well, man, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think there's no doubt that our enemies around the country, I mean, they're looking at us and looking at how we're behaving and seeing how vulnerable we are right now, and we are pretty vulnerable. I think no matter what the Biden camp does, I mean, we're kind of lucky in that sense that he is a vice president, and so he probably knows DC and everything better than anybody else that will be coming in at this point. And so he knows how to get around some of it, but there's no doubt about it that our enemies are looking at us right now and seeing if we're vulnerable in certain areas. No doubt about it.
And are we in trouble domestically? Please, let's talk about this, because this Million MAGA March really had me concerned over the weekend. Since the quarantine, I've been in the house, but really since this election and since the emergence of the Proud Boys and all these other racist organizations have really, really come to power. I've been I've been scared to go out and socialize, and I'm always looking over my shoulder. I'm very conscious when there are a majority white people around, and I've never been like that. And so, is there anything to fear?
Well, look, I mean, I think that there's a lot going on. I mean, if you look at, what our national intelligence is telling us, and even what our locals are telling us, is that, hate crimes and all that stuff is on the rise, and it has been since his presidency. And so I think there's no doubt about it that we have a more unsafe America than we've had for quite some time. And so I think people should be cautious and should be vigilant and should be watching themselves. I mean, I set my house alarm more than I have in the past, setting it to stay. I rarely ever did that in the past. And I noticed that I do that subconsciously a lot more than I used to. And so I think we're all doing that. But I definitely think, it's funny. It's something you said just before that kind of tailed into the rest of your comments. And I think that was, I'm sorry, Zach said it earlier. about, is there any way, or not, maybe you said it, Tracey, about it being reversed, the election. I just, what's really, really crazy about that is if it just say it did happen, I think the civil unrest in America would be just outrageous. I mean, I just, people that were marching and dancing in the streets the day that Biden we were told that he was going to be president, and then we'll have, somebody come back and reverse it because of litigation. I think you'll see, they thought that the rioting and all that stuff was bad before. I think it'll be horrible. So I think they know that.
Well, Carissa, you need to come over here to Decatur. You guys can move in. Protect me. Stock up and protect me. I don't know if I have enough ammunition to survive the time. Kelvin, you said something earlier when you said that this is what some people are saying is a response to the Democratic response when Trump became president. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't remember any of this type of behavior on a grand scale. I don't remember. I remember Hillary Clinton, former Senator Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former stateswoman and diplomat Hillary Clinton conceding earlier than what some of her supporters wanted her to do. And I remember going to bed that night knowing that Donald Trump was president and feeling absolutely devastated, but clearly able to accept the fact that Hillary Clinton lost. Absolutely. And then beginning the mental process of not only accepting what the next 4 years will bring, preparing myself to fight the course of the events of the next 4 years, but also reflecting on what we did as Democrats and people who love the democracy to allow it to happen, and thinking, well, we can get this right the next time.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, Hillary Clinton almost immediately conceded the race. And from what I understand, the same night called Trump and congratulated him and wished him well. The Obamas reached out almost immediately to Trump and Melania, and to his wife Melania, and offered opportunity to sit down and go over their transition to the White House, et cetera, et cetera. And I think all of that occurred within a matter of hours. It wasn't days, it wasn't months. I mean, it happened pretty quickly. And so absolutely our democracy is probably at an all-time low. And it's going to be quite some time before we can get back. I think, and I don't, I've said this publicly, and, I've said it even on my own page. And so I'm not shy to say it now. This is cultist behavior. And it is going to set our country back big time. And anyone who is naive enough to think that's not going to be the case, exactly what they are. I mean, it's naive.
So since you said that, okay, do we have anything to fear? Because I'm concerned once this man leaves office, he has information about everything. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't trust that he won't go over to South Korea and share some very confidential information. I don't trust that he won't share it with, and hasn't been sharing it with, Russia and other enemies of our country. I am scared of this man. This is the closest to a dictator I feel like we've ever had. And so, like, do you share some of that same concern? Like, how can we combat this? Like, his children have access to all of this. This is crazy.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't look. There's still a small part of me that thinks and hopes that him and his children value America a lot more than we think that they do. I know, and that doing like that.
Based on what now? What evidence have we seen other than the lies they tell and the flags they roll out that says they care about the American people in general? Come on, this man has said nothing about the 1 million new coronavirus cases that surged in the United States last week. We're on track to have another 1 million cases.
Oh, absolutely.
2 weeks of 1 million cases and 1 million cases. Hospitals in his states. Now, it's one thing when Donald Trump has gotten on national television and talks about the Dems, the Libs, the blue state, whatever he wants to call these states. But the states that are right now having COVID-19 ravaged out of control, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, these are his states. These are the places where he legitimately feels it belongs to him and that he supposedly cares about. He has said nothing about them. His followers are dying in record numbers because of his actions in these states, and he is saying absolutely nothing. Even today, Mike Pence is the one who got on television and blamed the media for the spread of COVID-19. Even Donald Trump today could say nothing. So with that being said, tell me what makes you say they care about us as a nation?
Well, I don't want to make clear. I didn't say that they did. I said I hope that they have a lot more.
Kevin, wave to my mama. Wave to my mama.
Yeah, I hope that they have a lot more respect for the American people in their hearts. And you can do one thing, and you can behave a different way. The one good thing is that they will, Trump still will have Secret Service and other people around him 24/7. I think that those folks and those, he will have national intelligence, under him more than he thinks he will. And so I think some of that will help. But I don't know. I mean, I can't answer for him. I can't answer from his folks. I think they're going to be angry for the next 4 years, and hopefully the next 12 years, because I think I have a pretty good idea what's going to happen. And so we have to do what we have to do on our end to make sure that America's safe. And that includes every citizen, and that includes everyone in our states, because our states are what's going to protect us the most. I mean, until they do something federally, a federal mandate for all this kind of stuff, it's going to be our states that's going to have to do. In Nevada too. I mean, we had a record high today. We had 2,400 positive cases today. That's not happened. We had gotten down into the 300 and 400 per day, and now we've been averaging over 1,500 a day, and so that's really high for us, like extremely high. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So what is contributing to that? I mean, how do you go from 300 to 400 to 15 to 2,400? And we're gonna get on Nevada in a minute. This is
positive. It's positive.
Yeah. I mean, it's positive, but what the hell took y'all so long? I was not concerned about Pennsylvania or Georgia. Like, I was like, okay, that's a plus. That's icing on it. What the hell is Nevada doing?
And that's funny because everybody say they weren't worried about. We, as Democrats in Nevada, weren't worried about Nevada. We knew that it was going to take us some time. We had just never done anything like that. With all the mail-in ballots that we did, we'd just never done anything like that. And so that's what took time. I mean, we got it right. We're in the blue.
But don't do it again.
Hopefully we all have learned something from this election. Unfortunately, if this pandemic continues to go the way it is, the next year, is midterm elections. And so we're going to be experiencing all this all over again. And so, look, we're not hand counting ballots like they're doing in Georgia and other places. We got it right the first time. So,
we got it right, Kelvin. We got it right.
Kelvin, don't you come on this show talking SH.
And here's the thing. This is what I want to know about Nevada. So is it Nevada or Nevada? Because I heard it.
You did it right the first time. It's Nevada.
Yeah, I've always said Nevada, but everybody's not saying Nevada. And I'm like,
they know.
That's people in the South and all that say Nevada. It's Nevada.
Okay, Nevada.
Yeah.
So
and Trump still never says it right, but that's a whole nother.
He never says it right. Yeah, so in Nevada, this is the thing. Now, President Trump and his re-election campaign targeted and chose Nevada. Of all the different places, of all states, this is where he chose to. He said, I'm going to flip this state. Right. I want to know why, because we don't, this is the thing, and it's so crazy when I hear everyone out here commenting on Georgia, right? So if you recall on my, Facebook, I never doubted that Georgia was going to be blue. Had no doubt. Zachary Kirk never doubted that Georgia was going to go for Biden. But I do have extreme doubt that we're not going to go for Ossoff or Warnock, okay? Here's the thing. On a national level, Kelvin, You look at national news, you hear the national story. You're not reading our local newspaper. You're not following our local, local press, local politician, local polls, the people in the local know. The same thing is true of us in Georgia. We only get the national take of Nevada. We don't know what the real deal is in the state. Why did Donald Trump feel as though he could win in Nevada?
That's an anomaly to me. I could not understand why his campaign and his people were spending so much time here the last few weeks. So obviously,
big money.
Yeah, obviously his folks saw something that the rest of us didn't. I had no doubt that he would get his clock clean in Clark County, which is the most populous part of the state, which is where the progressive folks are. Most of the Democrat, and it's the it's the largest population where the Strip is and all that stuff. And so I had no doubt he will lose here. I am surprised it was a little closer than I expected, and I think a lot of us. And so, Nevada has always been we have quote unquote been a battleground state for quite some time, and so that didn't change in this election. We lost some local Democratic seats that we didn't anticipate losing in the House. We lost the Senate seat, state Senate seat that we didn't anticipate losing, and so. But we won all our congressional seats and stuff like that. And so we still are pretty much a blue state, but this did make it a little bit uncomfortable. And I just think a lot had to do with it, the pandemic and some of our folks turning out. And, you can say what you want about Donald Trump, but, he is a turnout machine and he knows how to turn out the people on the left and the right. And so we had some people on the right, I think, unexpectedly.
Now, where do you stand in all of this? Because where do you stand politically in all of this?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm a strong Democrat, and always have, always will be. I mean, it's there's people in my state that I absolutely adore. I'm not in politics anymore, but and do everything I can to hopefully make sure that they're successful in what they're doing. But I think we all have to stand in the same place. We have to fight as hard as we can for democracy and make sure that our votes are protected, and two, that we're voting on the right issues. It saddens me that we don't think that we can get the 2 Senate seats in Georgia, because that'll make
things.
Yeah. I mean, but I've heard it though.
Too.
They showed the stats the other day that. And how the Democrats do in runoffs, and we just don't do well. Hopefully Stacey changes that this year in Georgia, because we really, really need those 2 seats. And hopefully she changes that. Hopefully the African Americans turn out in record numbers for a runoff election, and we do really well there. But you're absolutely right. I think everybody's nervous about those 2. But you know what? It is a lot. It has a lot to do with what Trump and the Republicans are doing right now. They're trying not to really, really irritate and piss off the base while those 2 races are going on. So all of this is together.
Kelvin, so let's take a moment and both, let's just talk about that, right? That was coming up in our discussion. And I think that you bring up a really good point. So there's several reasons as to why I am saying that Georgia Democrats have a long road ahead to win this Senate race.
Right.
Can Warnock and Ossoff win in Georgia? Of course they can win. Absolutely.
Right.
But you hit the nail on the head when you said the turnout matters. And traditionally in the state of Georgia, minority voter turnout is not strong during a runoff.
Right.
That is very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know if anything has really happened or if the machine is moving in the way it should to change that, right?
Right.
Number 2, Warnock and Ossoff are relatively novice at the game of politics. They didn't go through some of the steps that your career went through to become to become state leaders and to be renowned and recognized in the state. To their benefit, neither did Perdue, who owns Dollar General or used to own Dollar General, and that's his claim to fame, nor Kelly Loeffler, who is, who is what cheater, stock cheater. So that benefits both of them. So, that's one piece of it.
Well, go ahead.
No, continue.
No, look, I think Democrats have to be really, really honest with themselves and understand this one thing, and this is really the major thing. Donald Trump will not be on the ballot for these runoffs. And if Democrats think that Democrats turned out in these high numbers for this general because they were so eager to vote for Biden, again, I think we're missing it. What I have found in the 20 some odd years that I've been around politics is that people tend to vote out and come out in higher numbers to vote against something before they will to turn out to vote for it. There were millions of people that turned out to vote against Trump. So that's what all the celebration was about. So how do you energize those people to come out again now that he's not on the ballot? It's going to be a difficult task. And the U.S. Senate doesn't mean the same to people that the presidency does. And so it'll be a chore to get them out, but we're going to have to try.
Kelvin, what can we do? These are things, this is what I want to know, right? So you have built grassroots networks in Nevada to have won and earned the leadership over an extended period of time, respecting your people, period of time. What can we do in Georgia as average citizens to do our part to ensure that at the end of the day, we have done everything we can on behalf of Warnock and Ossoff?
Well, first of all, I think you got to continue to remind the people there that what these Senate races mean and what it means, what it's going to mean to a Biden administration to not be able to have the Senate. It is going to be difficult. Mitch McConnell, they're not good people. Graham, they're not good people. And so they're going to continue to run amok. And they're going to try to make it really, really difficult for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They're just going to try to make it as difficult as they can. Mitch's first words were when Obama was elected that his number one job was to make sure that Obama was a one-term president. Now, I find that ironic because as much as he tried to help his boy Trump ended up being a one-term president. And so you got to watch what you say. But we've got to continue to remind people what it is and how important it is that we get these Senate races. Look at what happened with this judicial judge. We ended up with Barrett because Trump got to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices. Think of that, 3 of them. And it is astonishing, and people need to understand the ramifications of that. These judges are lifetime. So if they're doing conservative things, overturning LGBT rights, overturning Roe versus Wade, and just kind of encroaching themselves in some of these issues that mean a lot to us, civil rights issues, et cetera, then the impact on the everyday American, especially African Americans, then maybe we'll get it. But if we can do something before we get to that point, now I don't see or hear any of the Supreme Court justices leaving, but we've got to make sure that we put everything in and start reminding people what it means. We took off that. Some people took off that last election because they didn't like Hillary, et cetera. But look at what happened. We ended up with Trump, and racism is as high as it's been. Unemployment is high as it's ever been. We got people dying every day. 1,000. What was it? 1,700 people the other day. And so we got what we asked for. So don't repeat ourselves. And we just got to continue to remind people we can't keep setting ourselves back by not turning out. And this is a good opportunity to put ourselves in a very good place.
See, that is what's troubling for me. I have quite a few friends who do not believe in voting because they do not see the change within the community, in particular the Black community. And then I have a small group who actually voted. They voted for Donald Trump. And I am appalled. Like, I asked why, and one of them said it was because of his policies. Look at all the things he was able to do in office that Obama wasn't able to do. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm debating our friendship, but I just want to know, like, what can I say? What can we say when we're having these conversations with our friends who are like, I'm not voting, or I don't want to vote Democrat anymore. Like I don't want to vote for Trump, but I don't want to vote for Biden either. Like, how can we positively persuade them? Because I feel like I'm having to persuade these people to vote.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna always have a lot, you know, a small fraction of people that we're gonna have to persuade to get them to the polls. The funny thing is, the people that don't vote, they're typically habitual non-voters, and so the question one is, are they Black? And the second question is, were they able to give you specific things that Trump has been able to do? Because I hear that even from Republicans. Oh, well, what he's been able to do. But then when you ask them directly what he's been able to do, they aren't able to say it. Oh, the economy was doing great before COVID. Yeah, it was, but those were Obama policies, and people never, ever, ever understand that. When you do policies, they don't take effect immediately. Sometimes it takes years for that. Obama took office, and we lost 500,000 jobs in the first month and a half when he took office. The first month and a half. And those were because of policies before him. He got America back on track with the policies. And, you know, and it's so funny because I kept saying that. And then I remember President Obama saying something just before, well, during the campaign, but towards the end. And he said, Trump wants to take responsibility. Trump wants to take credit for the economy that pretty much he had nothing to do with, but does not want to take responsibility for the pandemic that he ignored. And I mean, it really, really, that hit it. And I have been saying that for quite some time. And then to hear, you know, President Obama say that, I'm like, he hit the nail on the coffin. You want to take credit for something you had nothing to do with. But then, as Zach said, we got people die every day, and you're still worrying about a recount and an election that you know you lost, and you're not saying anything about it. And we're in much worse shape than we ever have been with this pandemic. I'm talking about ever. And it's not getting any better over the next few weeks. So it's astonishing that we can have somebody like this and that people can overlook it, Tracey, and say to you, oh, well, he's done this. But they never, ever, ever are able to say anything significant.
The only thing that the one person recently said was, well, look what he did with the HBCUs. But I was like, Obama did the same thing. He just wasn't able to get long-term funding because he didn't get the votes. He didn't have the system to be able to do this. And yes, these are Black people. Mm-hmm. These are Black people.
Were these Black women or they were all Black men?
Men, all Black men. Yeah. One is married and his wife voted Trump as well. So I'm just kind of like, I'm torn. I'm not torn about where I am. I'm torn like, I love these people. How do you vote? And my thing was, the character of a man for me speaks volumes.
That's right.
And I just am concerned that a lot of Black people have voted for someone. Oh, here's another thing. The abortion.
That's right.
The abortion issue, it was an issue for them. Like, we are terminating the lives of a lot of Black children. And I was like, so do you not understand that for me, it's freedom of choice. I cannot tell a woman what she can do with her body. I've never experienced abortion, but I cannot tell another woman what she should do with her body. But we don't have resources in place for every woman, I believe, to have their children, especially if they've been raped or not mentally prepared and even financially prepared. If you already got 2 or 3 kids and you're struggling, like, how can I tell you better keep that baby?
Yeah. But that goes back to what I was saying earlier about how we have to be careful. And I know one of the people that's watching, because Charles, I guess. Hey, Charles, I know you, but I'm reading your questions and your comments. But he said something a minute ago about, the Supreme Court usually never goes against the will of the people, so I wouldn't worry about it. And I think, for me, it's the wrong message, because it is always going to be that one time, and it's going to be significant. And Tracey, I think you're right. Either you are pro-life or you're pro-choice. And you know what? And typically, I try not to get involved, but I'm definitely pro-choice, and I think it's not a politician's job to tell a woman what to do with her body, and so that's her choice, her family choice, and that's a choice she has to make. And so we do have an opportunity where the Supreme Court. And I'm sorry, Charles, you did say the Supreme Court really goes against itself, and you're absolutely right about that. But these are just issues we just can't take chances on anymore. I don't think that they'll overturn Roe versus Wade either. I don't think they'll do that. But it does. My point to it was having a conservative court. You will get a lot of litigation from the right that will be trying to do it, and no one will ever undo. Like we're getting stuff about the Obamacare that Trump and his administration was trying to overturn it. They had a Supreme Court hearing a week and a half ago, and we're hearing a little bit from them that they're not going to throw the whole thing out. There may be a provision or two in there that they don't like that they may throw out. And so Charles is right. I mean, they rarely go against themselves, and they're not going to do that but it's just a little bit, and it's always little chips that you got to be concerned about, little bit of chips away of certain things. I don't think that they'll overturn Roe either, but you just can't give them opportunities. That's all.
And I agree 100%. They're not going to overturn Roe versus Wade because it is too much of an issue for Republicans. If they don't have Roe versus Wade, and they don't have abortion, then what do they have other than the racist policies of hatred and continuous infringement upon the individual rights of citizens, where they try to legislate what people can and cannot do to repeal the rights that they are naturally granted by the United States Constitution. So I do agree with that piece of it. But one thing that I do want to talk about, and that was kind of brought up, is we talked about what we can do as individuals to move forward and support these elections. I want to know, Kelvin, what would you do if you were Raphael Warnock or Jon Ossoff at this point? The national issues, what's happening out there. What would be your number one campaign focus to really win the hearts and minds of these citizens out here who are either undecided or who even maybe hell-bent on Republican?
Well, I think the first thing is you've got to be very familiar with your state. I mean, because we are talking about these races being United States Senate races for the state of Georgia. I'm not familiar with all of the issues in Georgia, but first of all, you've got to know them. I think Ossoff has done a really, really, really good job of familiarizing himself with the issues. And I think that he knows them so well that his opponent has refused to debate him again. And
correct.
So,
all three. He did one debate. He was Senator David Perdue did one debate against Ossoff. And he got his clock cleaned.
That's right.
He refuses to debate this man and really lay out the facts. Senator David Perdue is a multimillionaire who lives on a private Georgia island behind the fence.
That's
and he refuses to come out and talk to the people. Yet he walks around in his blue jeans and plaid shirt, claiming,
Well, I mean, so that's first. I mean, these candidates, got to talk about what happens to the everyday American people. I do think that they do have some things going in their favor. I don't like to play on the backs of the American people, but what's going on right now, with COVID and some other things, and now they're talking about the unemployment numbers are ticking up again. If that stuff doesn't scare people, and I don't think any of the Georgia Republican candidates are talking about COVID either right now, and I think that they need to continue to talk about those issues. I mean, they've got to get big guns in there. I heard Obama's going to be coming down there, and some other folks to help campaign. And so, look, what this January election is going to be about, we can talk about it ad nauseum, is really turnout. I mean, it's really what it is. And so if Stacey and some other folks just can do what they can to generate turnout, it's going to be the most expensive Senate races ever in America. We've just got to be clear about that. But it's all going to be be turnout. It's what it's going to be.
And Tracey, we don't want your friends to vote again, okay?
No.
You tell your friends to stay at home. You tell your friends, I know you love them, but tell them to travel for Thanksgiving. Tell them to the road for Thanksgiving. They're going to go see their mom and their daddy and all them for Thanksgiving. Only if their mom and daddy voted for Trump. If the mom and daddy vote for Trump, they don't go and see them. They go and see their white friends that encourage them to vote for Trump. I'm going to share a fun, Kelvin, you may not know, but I know all of our viewers and Tracey, they know that I'm a TikToker. I believe in leveraging all social media platforms. And so I saw a TikTok of a Black man who was probably my age, late 30s, early 40s in Alabama. He's a big Alabama Crimson Tide fan. And when I tell you this Black man was sobbing, boohoo, in tears, like his mama just got shot over Donald Trump losing the election. And I went and saw his feed, and it was all these TikToks about Trump is going to win and Trump 2020, how much he loves Trump and loves Alabama football. And I'm going to actually do a response to him, but I had to really think. As you guys know, I'm from a native of Mississippi, and I had to really think about the mentality, right? And I realized something that in where I'm from, you have two types of households. In my household, my great-grandmother, who was 75% Choctaw Indian, said she was a Black woman because that's how the world saw her. And she taught us that as a Black person, you have a responsibility to your community that goes beyond yourself. And there are some things that you stand for that are greater than yourself, like your faith and your beliefs and how you fight for your community. But there's a whole nother group of people, right, out there who were raised to protect themselves. And I thought about that. And I thought about the grandparents who may have shown their grandsons the pictures of Emmett Till and said, when you stand up to white people, this is what's going to happen to you. And when white people don't like you, this is going to happen to you. And so what you have to do is you have to learn to live in a world with white people and learn to make them love you. And when you do that, they're going to protect you. They're not going to kill you like Emmett Till. They're going to protect you instead and hold you up and promote you like Clarence Thomas. And I actually believe that mentality has contributed to this Black man crying tears over the loss of Donald Trump. And so, Tracey, as I try to I could be wrong. I don't know this man. I swear to God, what I'm not going to do is reach out to him and say, look, homeboy, can we talk about it? I don't ever want to talk to him. I don't want to know him ever. But
you are not wrong. That is the Willie Lynch
mentality.
But it's
real, though, right? I think it's a real mentality.
Mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, look, you're going to have that, in both parts. Going back to what you said earlier about how we behaved, I remember the very first text I got from someone on election night when Hillary lost. And it was from my daughter. She was in college and she texted me and she just said, Dad, now what are we going to do? That's all she said. And I said, he's been elected. We've got to give him a chance and we've got to see what happens. And I remember saying that. And she'd tell you I said that. I felt like I needed to leave the country, but that was another story. But but that's how we behaved. This behavior now, and like you said, with folks, it's just, in our own people, like, look, we're going to have some African Americans that are Republicans. Let's just be real. That's just going to happen. They're going to be staunch. I remember getting into a conversation with somebody on Facebook. He was a Republican. It's 2 hours of my life I'll never, ever, ever get back again. But I allowed myself to engage with him. And it wasn't a matter of me trying to change him or him trying to change me. But he was so bought in. He was so bought in on the propaganda that 45 was selling that there was absolutely nothing I could say or do to make him even take a look at what was happening on the left, or take a look at the racist behavior that Trump has been promulgating for all these months and for almost 4 years. He tried to delegitimize the first African-American president ever with this birther crap. If that's not enough, for certain people. I saw something that Michelle Obama said something in the paper the other day in CNN about how hurtful Trump's comments and stuff was towards her husband, but she put it all aside for the betterment of this country, to make sure that she met with Melania before the transition, or as the transition was occurring. Those are stand-up individuals. This guy's not stand-up. And to have people follow him blindly and be crying, like you said, this African American who's blind, crying, ain't nothing you're gonna be able to fix that. I mean, that's a pointless conversation. There's just nothing you're gonna be able to do with that.
Yeah, I don't want the conversation with him, but I do want to make the TikTok where I'm going to take his little cry and stitch it with my commentary.
Right.
Just, like a Willie Lynch mentality and why people have it. Because I think that it's heartbreaking, but it's a reality. You made a good point, Kelvin, when you said when Donald Trump was elected, you said when this man was elected, you said, what do we do now? Now that this man is on his way out of the White House and Biden is on his way in, I want to know from both of you, what do we do now? Now that Joseph R. Biden, whose birthday is tomorrow, what do we do now?
You want to go, Tracey, or you want me to go? Your mic's on mute.
So that is a question I have. I am nervous, guys, because if Joe Biden does not get the Senate, I am just so sure things will not change. And the Democrats will again have this division within them. And then people are going to say, see, we voted for Biden and nothing changed. You see, the black vote came out and we uplifted this white man and he wasn't able to do. And I'm nervous. So I don't know.
Look, I guess I'm probably more pessimistic than most because I do think that you have a handful of Republican senators that do want to do the right thing. I think those same Republicans that don't care for Trump, that won't say it publicly, they do have Trump fatigue. Trust me, they do. And I think you're going to see a dramatic shift in some of them with some of these issues. For instance, again, COVID. I think a lot of them want to do something, but they don't want to do it because it goes against Trump's what he's been saying for all this time. And so they don't. Look, he does have a base. Let's just be real. 71 million people voted for him. And I think a lot of them are afraid of that. And a lot of them are afraid of losing some of those folks. But I think you're going to see a dramatic shift in some. You're starting to see it in some of these Republican states where some of these Republican governors who refuse to do anything on COVID with masks and other stuff, you see they're doing it now. Yeah, they're starting to do it now. And they're doing it after the election. There's no secret what they're doing because they're done. They're done, and you're going to have that with some of these United States senators. Absolutely. I think there's going to be issues. We're not going to be able to come in with common ground with some of them. The other advantage we do have is that Biden was a United States senator for a long time. And so he does have relationships with some of them. And so he's going to have to lean on some of them. And we'll have to agree on the things that we can agree on, and the things that we can't, we're going to have to move on. But I do think that you will see some, for no other reason, like I tell people, I just want something normal for a little while. I want the White House to be normal for a little while. I want the policies to be normal for a little while. I want a president that's not tweeting every 5 minutes. That's just do your job. That's it.
And I'm glad you said that. My issue is all of these people want to quote the Bible and be evangelical and all of that, but it's like, what profit a man to gain the world but lose his soul? That is the thing that keeps coming to me. I'm like, you so scared to speak up against this man because you're afraid to lose your position.
That's right.
You're supposed to hold on to your character and your dignity and your morals.
Mm-hmm.
But what God has for you on the other side,
you better preach.
Greater than this, whatever this is in the world. Jarrell.
Hey, Jarrell.
My
buddy.
I don't know.
That you make such a great point, and I wish that all politicians thought that way. I know when I was in, that was my philosophy. I got all the time, if you vote for this, I'm voting against you, and I always said, well, looks like I lost the vote. Everybody's not willing to do that. everybody's just not willing. I mean, to be able, I mean, there are some people that are so power hungry that they're afraid of their next election. And anytime you're legislating that way, we're going to get bad stuff. I mean, we're just going to get bad stuff. And it's been twofold for this Republican body, because not only they're afraid of the person who's leading them. They're afraid of this man. They're afraid if they do something, they're going to become his Twitter feed for the next 24 hours. And they will. You know, that's the stuff that they're afraid of. And most people just can't handle that kind of stuff. So trust me when I tell you, there will be a handful. You know, I'm not saying the whole 50 Republican Senate is going to just change their ways, because McConnell and Graham, there's just no hope for them. But there's going to be some that you're going to be able to legislate with over the next year. They're not going to have a choice, because they're not going to be able to let America go through what we're going through right now for a number of years. We just can't go through this. And I think they'll understand that. I really do.
What made these people change their tune? Because, you know, I'm seeing all these compilations of pre-Trump, you know, 2015, how all of these senators were speaking out against him and how he was incompetent and he was this and that. And now they are like, his soldiers for life. And I'm like, how did you flip that quickly?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really what I said. I mean, they're afraid that he's going to put them on blast tomorrow. I mean, because that's what he does, you know, when he booster against them. And a lot of them just can't handle that. I mean, that's really what they do. They just put themselves out there to be ridiculed and attacked by him. I mean, he's just not a nice person, and they're just afraid of him, which is unfortunate. But again, I think a lot of that will subside once he's gone, and a lot of them will probably will change some of their tune. They won't never become 100% with us, but some of their things will change.
I'm just not afraid to go into the gutter with people. I'm not afraid to go down there with you.
Right.
If you say some stuff now, I'll go down with you a couple of back and forths, and then I'll come out. But I'm just not afraid to. I'm just like, they should know some information about this man.
One thing that I've noticed from as a political observer is that, you know, many of our leaders come from our community, and our community is a little bit different in regards to how we portray loyalty and how we are going to stand by our candidates and people that we believe in through thick and thin. No matter what happens, we're there for them, right? So, you know, Congresswoman Maxine Waters can do things that perhaps Senator Lindsey Graham can't do. And I personally believe firmly that, you know, that President Trump has truly gotten information on people like Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham that he very well be using over their heads. There could be financial promises made. I don't think he has the money that they may think he has. That also could be a factor involved. We saw the lack of ethics just this week when Senator Lindsey Graham came into Georgia and tried to strong arm our Secretary of State to encourage cheating. So we know that they play those dirty politics. We know they do those unethical things. So I think all of that very well may be, you know, kind of a part of it, and maybe something, you know, that motivates these people to do that, to do what they're doing.
You know, but isn't that, people get locked up for much less. How criminal is that to have a sitting United States senator, chairman of one of the more powerful committees in the United States, calling a state Secretary of State that you have that you're not senator of, and encouraging him to throw a ballot. And this is not on some folks' radar. I mean, I don't understand. That's where I understand what you're saying, Tracey. Like, some people are so far gone that they would think that that's okay. I always go back to saying, if Obama, his administration did the stuff that Trump did, I mean, let's just be real. There's no way he could have gotten away. There's no way he could have gotten away with stuff like that. You know, having Cory Booker call, one of these Republican states, trying to get some, or even the Democrats trying to get them to overturn votes, they'd be having a hearing tomorrow on his behavior. It's just. And I don't want to get into the race, but
exhausting.
Yeah.
It is exhausting to have to wake up every day, because this is what's happened to me in the past 4 years, every day, and say, I'll call my mama first thing in the morning. What did the president say? If it were a Black person, this, I mean, how do we not see that this is, just unfair in how they are behaving? If Black people behave this way, y'all, like I think about, what if Candace Owens spoke out against Donald Trump today? Like, he would eat her alive. But
that's right.
It's just.
And speaking of that, I asked somebody the other day, "Where's Omarosa?"
Tell us what you know about Omarosa, Tracey, and I'll tell you where I saw her slithering around.
Where?
Kelvin, you probably don't know, Tracey knows. I'm a news junkie. I'm a political junkie. I'm at that point in my life. I may run when I retire, or I may continue to contribute in different ways. I'm actually leaning down towards contributing in different ways, because I just don't know if I think once you get elected, you lose a lot of the influence that you can have to do the background work to push the leader to do what has to be done. But Omarosa was on MSNBC twice. And when I saw her, I started tweeting, like, what are you doing? I went to Jonathan, I tweeted MS, I started tweeting my butt off, and so did everybody else, and we ain't seen her since. So hopefully she's gonna slither on permanently away. But she was on MSNBC. She was on, I want to say an episode of AM Joy on the weekend. And then I think I also saw her, it was before one of the debates. And it was the pre-debate coverage on MSNBC. So hopefully she's now gone.
That's funny, because I've been asking, where is she?
We did not like the MSNBC. We did not like that. We did not like that at all.
Well, 2 weeks ago, she did, it's saying here on the Hill that she did back Biden and that she predicted that Trump will lose. And she also, just 23 hours ago, the Trump administration sought to sue Omarosa after she announced her tell-all book. So she's still in the conversation. She's just been quiet.
Okay. That's what
opportunities going anywhere the wind blows. And there are consequences for coonery that again. Now, I sincerely offered a logical explanation for my homeboy in Alabama. I don't know any level of education this man may have. It may be very, very slim to none and lacking. So I can't fault him for the conditioning he's undergone at a high level. But Omarosa Manninghalt Starkworth Salad Bowl Mayonnaise is an educated woman with multiple degrees, including a Juris Doctorate. There is no excuse for her behavior, the behavior of Kanye West, the behavior of Herschel Walker. There is no excuse for the behavior of Daniel Cameron.
Herschel Walker is his son. His son
is young. I give the son a pass because
see, that's the problem.
He'll turn into a Herschel Walker.
No, he is. You haven't seen go to his Twitter.
I saw it.
That boy is.
I don't forgive him.
Me either. No.
But he was raised that way, guys.
No, you know what?
I don't know if the truth. This is the thing. I think in every man and woman's life, God is going to show them the truth. I don't know if this man is old enough yet, right? Like, I know Herschel Walker, you up in your 50s, bro. God has shown you the way and you have chosen to go the other way. I can't say that about Christian Walker yet. When he's older and if he's still running around here, then I will give him the coon designation. Right now, I can't say he's a baby raccoon just yet.
No, you look at his stuff, he's more far gone than his daddy. I'm sorry. He ain't. He's one of them parents. Yeah,
but I not raised him this way though.
Right.
They did. I believe they did.
Yeah.
I do not think they raised him to be as boisterous as he is.
Oh my gosh. He has no idea that he's Black.
No, he is a privileged. No, he the same. But here's the thing. How can you give him a pass and not give Omarosa a pass, who has come to see the light, I believe?
See, and that's what I'm saying, because Zach, you said earlier about how
an opportunist running towards opportunity. And as soon as it's advantageous to her to go back to selling out and hurting the Black community, that's what she's gonna do.
Yeah, but I agree with Tracey's though. Even if she has, see, my thing was I thought maybe she got paid to just be quiet while this is going on. Because even in the election, she wasn't talking much. But if you got information where she's saying she came out for Obama, for Biden, et cetera, and I'm good with that. And absolutely, she's an opportunist, et cetera, but she does see the light now. I just was trying to see what they were trying to do with her lately, because she just is totally checked out on them.
We're gonna see. Now we're gonna talk. I have a question for Tracey and you as well, Kelvin, regarding Megan Thee Stallion. But before we go to Megan Thee Stallion, I do want to know, what do you guys think about Donna Brazile now working as a continuous and consistent Fox News correspondent?
I know about these things.
Go ahead. You go ahead. What happened?
Yeah, she doesn't want to talk about Donna Brazile. You don't think about Donna?
Enough. I really don't. I don't. Who is this person? Do you have a picture?
Donna Brazile. You know her, Tracey. You've seen Donna Brazile multiple times. You know Donna. Google her, and you will come back. You know.
My thing is this. I look. You know, everyone has to have an opportunity to do what they do and make theirs. Got booted pretty much off of CNN. Yeah. She's now becoming a commentator on Fox. I'm going to hold out judgment because Donna Brazile bleeds blue. So I'm going to hope that maybe she's just a Democratic commentator on there.
Yeah, that's what she's doing. And so you think that she's going to toe the line and stay faithful to the work?
I think she will. And I'm hoping she will. Look, they got some Republican commentators on CNN. They let them do their thing. They let them say what they got to say. So, okay, Jarrell. And they let them do and say what they got to say. And that's fine. Maybe that's the role she's going to play on Fox. Look, the president's mad at me, right? So maybe Fox is changing a little bit.
I think you're right, Kelvin, because I'm going to tell you something. That Saturday when Fox announced Biden on the election on that Saturday, they started talking about the weather. They changed their entire tune after they found, like, it was like night and day. I was like, what?
Yeah.
We talking about the weather now? Like, it was so weird. And even to see some of their what do you call them, commentators say things like, who are speaking out against the people in the White House. One of their commentators just the other day got into a heated argument with a White House official and was calling out facts, was calling them out like, you're lying, you're not answering the question. I forget his name. I saw it on YouTube and I watched it and I was like, oh, so you just never know. Maybe they are saying now that he's out of office, we can invite people to the conversation from the other side that won't agree with us. And we can go back.
Fox was one of the first networks to call Arizona. Matter of fact, I think it might have been the first. And that ticked Trump off. I mean, he and his folks tried for days to get them to rescind that and to take it back. They stood by it and said, nope. The information we have, the numbers we're looking at internally, you're going to lose in Arizona. And so Trump started this campaign after that. Again, something else he's working on instead of doing his job. To get everybody away from Fox and go to these more conservative networks. And so I'm going to give Donna a chance and see where she goes with this on Fox. But I don't think that her soul can be bought. I think she's what she is.
So, one thing, she's here. So one thing that came up in the news also, just kind of moving on, wanting to give a balance of news, is that, Megan Thee Stallion has been really receiving a lot of praise. She was named the greatest rapper, the best rapper of the year, male and female. But through all of it, there's been so much negativity leveraged towards Megan by Black men in the industry. She was shot by Tory Lanez. There was an agreement made at the shooting that she wouldn't reveal what really happened. Now we know that was a part of it. And he was the one coming out attacking her before she even came out with the whole story. I want to know, this is my question starting with you, Tracey. Do you feel as though Megan's desire to protect Tory Lanez and to stand up for the Black man was counterproductive, or is counterproductive to what needs to happen for Black women in general?
I do believe it is counterproductive, but I also do believe that is a part of the Willie Lynch syndrome that has been embedded within our community forever. Black women have, for a very long time, coddled the Black male. We have protected the Black male. And so I think this is just something that is naturally ingrained in us, one. Number two, she's in the rap industry. And so to be a snitch, it's like snitches get stitches. So she didn't want to be considered. I know, but she did not want to be the one to say anything because she knew the backlash that she would get within the rap community, the hip hop community. So what is she supposed to do if this man comes out and speaks out against her and tries to do a one up or put out information before her? She's, of course, now I'm backed up against the wall. I have to say something. But I will say this. I do think that not all Black men, but there is a culture where Black men have kind of stopped protecting the Black woman and honoring us in a way that offers us a sense of security. That's in relationships. I've dealt with that where I do not feel protected. I do not feel provided for. I do not feel like this person has my back and I'm in relationship with them. So, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know if, because of the 73% of single parent homes within our community, if that's an issue, Black men don't have mentors or men around that demonstrate how to treat us. I don't know if that is what's going on, but we've got to change it. We have got to change how Black women are seen in this world. And it's got to start with our Black men. White men, maybe behind doors, may treat their women a certain way. But white men typically honor their women in front of their children, typically, statistically.
And many of them, I guess even public figures may do so publicly until Donald Trump came. He kind of broke the mold for that, attacking Governor Whitmer. But you're right. Even the politicians and celebrities, you make a good point. Kelvin, what are your thoughts?
Well, man, I think Tracey's right. But it's not new though. Black women have always defended Black men to a fault. I mean, that has always been the culture, right? I mean, and some of it stems from, African-American women knowing, how hard and how struggle is for African-American men. And so there's been they've always taken on the role of being their protector. And so it's always been more difficult for them to, as Tracey said, sell them out. I'll take care of this with him. I'm not about to let y'all do it, and I get it. The whole, she got shot and all this, but I think a lot goes into that too. What do I do what does she do if she turns a man? Now she's got to look over her back the next, for the rest of her life, because, he's got supporters. He got people too that's probably, out there doing crazy stuff and could get to her. I don't really know. I don't really know their whole situation. I just know that a lot goes into that kind of stuff. But I do know that African-American women, I've seen it in my family. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. They're protectors to a fault.
And she even said, with all this going on with Black men and with the police brutality, she just did not feel confident enough to speak out against him and he'd be okay. Like, he just did not want to do that. Again, it goes back to when the Black male would be attached to the horses, right? And they would demonstrate, they would make him a demonstration, and the mother would coddle their sons because I don't want that to happen to you. And so they would treat their sons drastically different than they would the daughter. The Black girl is taught how to fend for herself and be independent, and the Black boy was taught to stay home, you know, and be provided for. It bothers me.
Yeah. That's not the story of Deborah Kirk. That's not the Deborah Kirk. That was not the way. You know, I'm just being honest. And my sisters and my mother, they're best friends. They are best friends. But you know, Deborah, you love your daughters more than you love me. I'm gonna call it out. She would not agree with that. She'd be so upset if she was still on. She may be, if so, she'll say something. But she never sleeps. She go to bed real early, like real early Pacific. So you know what, guys? This is a real issue that I'm very concerned about, like extremely concerned about, because of my nieces. I have nieces. They are growing up. My babies are really becoming grown women, and I just watch them, and I'm constantly looking for the elements of like strong, independent womanhood, and I don't know if there's any way you can escape the male issue, right. I don't know what to call it, but the male issue, and it's just a real issue for me, right? Like here you have Megan Thee Stallion. I can totally see both of my nieces being a Megan Thee Stallion, working hard, doing what's right, building a career, letting a man jeopardize that, and then you protecting and standing by that man. Here's an example. Megan Thee Stallion is a performer. This man shot her in the foot. Megan Thee Stallion is a performer. He shot her in the foot. There may have been permanent damage done to where she would not be able to dance, where she would not be able to perform, where she would not be able to make a living. And yet and still she defended him because she was worried about what society would do to him when he tried to come for your whole life, your livelihood. I do not understand the mentality, and it worries me.
Why was a gun even present in this situation?
Yeah.
Your life wasn't in danger. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have. I mean, she got out the car to avoid the argument and walked away, and you get so upset to whether you pointed the gun in her direction, or they said there was a fight within, a struggle within the car. Like, it's so many different stories. Why is the gun out anyway?
Right.
So, you know, it's a real issue that's there. Now, we're getting ready to wrap up and conclude. Kelvin, I'm going to send you a questionnaire. Now, let me tell you what some of the guests have done. They have taken my questions and they get pushed back. Now, the questions, let's not lie, they are, and they're good. I think they're good journalistic questions. I'm going to send you a link to our website, 3+1 Media. You know, we have a beta version of our website. We've been working on this website. It's going to go big for launch the MLK weekend in January.
I like it.
It up, so I'm, getting feedback, people telling me what they think. And what we do is I'm going to give you a more in-depth interview to get more of your thoughts on these issues in it. It's like, it won't be, I'm going to give you 6 to 9 questions, maybe, so if you want, you can take a little bit of time and give me some good answers, and then so you'll see it on the website. So please don't brush off our questions. We need it. Then we will attach this live cast to your page. So it's literally like a little page of this of the interview plus this live cast on the 3+1 Media website. I know that we're all about to get off and go and watch President Barack Hussein Obama be interviewed by Jonathan on MSNBC. I know many of you have the book. The book is #1 bestseller, has already won more than Michelle Obama. And I really want to apologize to everybody out there who's bought the book, who didn't know what they were doing. Let me explain. This book is not becoming, okay? This book is not a memoir that you can just pick up, read, and enjoy. I'm just being honest, because I know the world, I know the readers, right? Like, I love this book. This is my bag. I love it. This is about politics. This is about policy. This is about life experiences that shape one's politics, identity, and policy. This is the kind of book that you read in a college level history course or a college level poli-sci course, maybe at the master's level. I'm not going to lie to you. This book is going to be many people are probably going to buy the book and it's going to sit there for a long time, and they're not going to want to read through it because it's a very complex read. I love it. I recommend it, but I don't want you to be misled thinking that this is a book like Becoming that you're going to actually like, you know,
sit down and read.
Reading. This is educational reading. It's not pleasure reading.
It's not expository. It's not going to tell a story. It's not.
It's a story, but it's a different kind of story that people may not be used to hearing, right? Again, it's about how his life experiences shaped his politics and his policies and what he believes in. Very similar to Dreams from My Father. Very similar to what's the name of the other book?
Audacity.
The Audacity of Hope, but it's even more academic and pedantic. It's even more academic than those books. So people that did, that's what I'm saying. So if you're expecting like a Becoming, which was a very easy read and a very pleasant read, I wouldn't do it. To be honest with you, I recommend that most people, you buy the book as a keepsake, but you download the Audible version of the book or the Apple, and you listen to the audiobook in your car, because it's things that I do believe you need to know and understand about the 44th president of the United States of America. But I just don't believe people are going to read this whole book. I just don't believe it.
Right. What's 1,000 pages? What is it? How many pages they said the thing is?
700 pages, my friend.
Yeah, that's right.
Almost 800 pages of text.
Yeah.
He did of 3 parts.
But I also got a few pictures too, okay? We got a few.
I like
a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. But you still got to get it. You got to get it just to support it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It just becomes a keepsake. You got to get it.
Fine.
That's right. I think every Black household, and every home that loves we get
right. And Tracy, no, we're not sending it to you after we read it. No, you got to get your own.
No, we need to share.
Tracy, I will get you a copy as part of your Christmas package. You have a Christmas package coming. That is a done deal. That is one of the things you're getting from me. That's right.
You do not have to give me anything. Your friendship is enough.
I do know that. I do know that because my friendship is real. I'm a real friend to my friends. And that's why you get a Christmas gift, because I'm a real friend to my friends. God's blessings flow through me to you and to those God has put around me. That is how the Lord works in my life.
All right.
I want to say, and for everybody out there, so Kelvin, you'll be getting this questionnaire late tonight. It's coming tonight, early in the morning, but you'll be getting it before I go to bed. While it's fresh in my brain and I'm having all these thoughts to back up and support some of the things we talked about tonight. Tracy and I are going to be off, of course, next week is Thanksgiving.
Oh, I forgot.
Tracy, are you going to go home with Thanksgiving, or are you going to stay here because of COVID-19?
No, COVID-19 has canceled all of the holidays and birthdays and family. And we canceling everything. And here's the reason why. Because I am filming and I don't work a regular job. If we test positive for COVID, it is a tarnish on our records. Like as actors, you are that person that made us shut down for 2 weeks and cost us millions of dollars. So I'm just like, even when my clients, one client can come in at a time, I wear my mask and my shield. And I get tested every 2 days. But I'm that I can't. I don't want to expose my parents. My mother is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. She's had colon cancer. My dad is a diabetic. And I just don't want to take a risk.
I'm glad you said it, Tracy, because that's the kind of the new language that they're using. Forego this holiday season for the people that you love so that you can see them next holiday season. Okay. It is, the CDC's new guideline today is don't travel. Don't go anywhere for this. I mean, it's just that daunting right now. It's really, really tough.
I went to Sam's and Walmart and got all of the ingredients for all the things that I love for Thanksgiving, and I'm cooking it for myself. My parents and I will be on FaceTime. We're going to do Zoom throughout the day.
That's right.
Great.
So Kevin, what about you? How are you responding to our first quarantine Thanksgiving?
It's tough. Someone really, really close to me just is kind of recovering from it. And I hope she's not listening because she's gonna get mad if I tell her about my daughter. So it was a tough first week. And so the last
she was symptomatic?
Oh yeah. So the last couple weeks has just been a slow, recovery, and she's great now, thank God. But I have some people in my family with some comorbidities, right? I mean, we've got diabetes in our family, we've got hypertension, we've got, so my circle is going to be really, really, really small. I'm just talking about like a couple of my cousins, and that's all. We're not doing anything special. And so, but I'm staying local and just kind of doing that. I don't feel comfortable with anything. I mean, a lot of my friends and stuff are in California, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing anything. It's just, I think people just got to start listening at some point. And I get it. Everybody's fatigued. Everybody's COVID fatigue and kind of trying to look for something to do because we're just over it. But that's why the numbers are what they are now, because people are acting like it's over and it's not.
Yeah, I have a small COVID bubble that we've maintained the whole quarantine, and everyone has been very vigilant. It's like 6 people, and so he may be doing something because we're all in agreement not to go home and not be around our families because we don't know what they have been exposed to. And so for me, the focus is being able to have Deborah and my family come to Atlanta. My family comes to Atlanta for Christmas every year from rural Mississippi. I think that is an important trip for the kids. I think it's an important experience for them. So, I'm doing all I can to make sure that I'm super quarantining and super vigilant, and they are as well. And so we're all planning to be tested the week of the 14th to then be able to come and have, Christmas in Atlanta. And I would hate for anything to jeopardize that. It's like a highlight of the holiday. So,
cool.
Yeah. And Tracey and I will be having our favorite things live cast. So that's coming up on the 2nd. We're really excited about it. And so I think that's a great place to say, guys, thank you for joining us. Here's Kelvin, that's a weird question. Don't take it the wrong way about your daughter, but there's a lot of research out there about blood types and people who struggle, especially in the Black community. Is your daughter O blood type or no? You don't know? You don't recall?
No.
Because the research, and this is something
no. You gotta find out.
How do you find out your blood type? I don't know mine.
Your doctor can give you a blood type test. Here's a question, Kelvin. Do you know your blood type? You don't know. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what this is something I found online in April, and I have been following this. This is a weird thing that people don't like. I found it in April, and it was a study from China that looked at blood type and COVID-19, and it clearly said that if you are blood type A, you have a much higher chance of getting COVID-19 and having severe complications from COVID-19. It was like 30% higher than every other blood type.
Wow.
Next in line was AB, then it was B, and then it was O. O it was significantly lower the people that were O that contracted COVID-19.
Right.
So I've been following this, and it is finally been reported on in ABC News, like the World News Tonight actually literally did this like maybe last month or 2 months ago, but very little. So you can Google it and you can read.
Look at that. Yeah.
Anytime I hear about any person of color contracting COVID-19, I always want to know with the blood type. My father had COVID, but he's AB.
And he's good now.
He's fine. Yeah, he's good. He's fine now. But he also, was symptomatic and everything. So again, I just, whereas my mother and I, luckily we're old. So I'm hoping that that's going to work in our favor.
Good. I'm glad you said that because I'm definitely going to do that. Tracey, that was like, where do you do? But maybe I just get my primary care doctor.
Yeah, primary care doctor too. But Tracey, you also have in Atlanta. Let me tell you, this is going to be another crazy point of fact. There's a lady off of Auburn Avenue called the Herb Lady, and she also will give you the blood type test in her store. I know, crazy, but she will.
But is it not?
Urban Vitamin. It's literally called the Urban Vitamin Lady. Her store is only open on Friday and Saturday when you buy like herbs, vitamins, and natural juices. And it's located.
Is she a nurse?
Yeah, who is she?
I think she was a doctor. I think she's no, I really do. I think that she was a doctor. She's an old lady.
But how she do some test though?
Yeah, she's an old black lady. I don't think the test is like actually a complicated test.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like a finger prick, and you just have to have the. I think. Let me be honest. I remember doing this blood type test in like high school and in advanced biology.
But
maybe I'm wrong, right? Like maybe my thinking is off because I don't remember learning my blood type in high school. But for whatever reason, I remember learning about blood type, and I felt like we took like a blood type, you put it on like the. You put one drop of blood on each of the 4 types, and the one that has a reaction is your blood type. That's what I recall. I could be wrong.
Now, is this not on our birth certificate?
It is not on your birth certificate.
No.
They tell your parents.
That's a good one though, because it really should be.
It should be. They tell your mom and dad. They tell your parent when you're born. But think about it, your mom just went through intensive trauma. She probably isn't holding on to the information.
Right.
Asked her, she said she didn't know. So
yeah, many people don't remember that, but also is it important? Usually, it's not that important until
something happens.
You need a transplant or transfusion.
Weird things like if your parent finds out that you have like a sickle cell trait, they remember that. If there's something that can be a life-affecting event, they remember. Blood type, not so much. But now, I know my family. I'm going to forever want to know the blood type early because I think you see this disease may have an impact on it, so it may matter. I don't know of many diseases that have a blood type differentiator. So,
right.
So, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. We'll be inviting you back.
Yes, I'm gonna be honest. I was very intimidated by you today.
No.
So cool and just knowledgeable, but just really cool. Because I told Zach, I was like, Zach, look, my showrunner might be on here tonight. I'm not gonna be able to talk politics. I was nervous. I was like, oh,
I got it. Yeah.
I don't deal with anybody, Tracey, that's not good people.
Right.
Well, you're right. It was such a pleasure to meet
Thank you. You too. Likewise. Such a pleasure. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you guys. Have an awesome night. Go watch President Barack Hussein Obama on MSNBC.
Well, we're behind, but I'll watch it when it come on. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be good. So I can't wait. I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna start tweeting way behind a tweet, but I'm not going. I'm not gonna miss it. And we love you, Rhonda. Thank you for joining us.
That's the next thing. Next time, people have to put their Twitter handle in their name there. Because now you got to send me yours. Because I don't even think I follow you on Twitter. But yes,
Zachary K. My name ZACKORYK. Real. I'm an old Twitter, so I was way back in the day, so I can actually have my name, old school. Twitter.
Okay, I got you.
An 09er. All right, guys.
Send me Tracy's too.
I sure will.
Okay, I will.
See you guys.
Bye.